An average person spends roughly 2 hours and 31 minutes a day on games, social media, web browsing, and other activities that are distractions. This adds up to 38 days, or more than 2.5 weeks of lost time a year. Why time management is important: 1. Productivity increase. 2. Reduction in our overall stress. 3. Improvement in work-life balance. 4. Attainment of our objective. 5. Control for improved decision-making. Personal struggles with time management. Every day felt like a race against the clock. Despite working long hours, I often found myself unable to accomplish everything I had planned. Tasks kept piling up, and the frustration of not getting things done only added to my stress levels. Effect on total productivity. Managing multiple tasks at once was a major challenge. Without achieving much progress on any of the tasks, I would jump from one to another, procrastinating, overcommitting, having elevated anxiety, and ignoring self-care. The wake-up call: after a few months of this constant cycle, the emotional and physical toll was undeniable. I realized I was always busy, but rarely productive. My stress levels were through the roof. That's when I knew I needed a change. The turning point: acknowledging was the first step toward fixing. I started implementing small changes, prioritizing tasks. I started prioritizing tasks based on their importance and deadlines. Time blocking. Dedicated specific chunks of my day to individual tasks. Setting boundaries. Learning to say no became essential. Self-care as a priority. I also made self-care a non-negotiable. I had adopted the following strategies and techniques. Eisenhower matrix for prioritization. Prioritization according to the task's importance and urgency. This was one of the most effective strategies. Important and urgent. These are high-priority tasks that need immediate attention, for example, deadlines, crises. I focused on these first. Important but not urgent. These are long-term goals and tasks that, if neglected, could become urgent later, for example, strategic planning, personal development. I scheduled these into my calendar to ensure they didn't fall by the wayside. Urgent but not important. These tasks are often distractions that feel urgent but don't contribute to my goals, for example, non-essential meetings. I started delegating or minimizing these whenever possible. Not urgent and not important. These are time wasters, for example, excessive social media use. I consciously worked on reducing the time I spent on these activities. Time blocking for organized planning. A vital component of my daily routine is now time blocking. I would designate particular times of the day to work on a given task or type of work. Administrative or meeting. To accomplish administrative tasks like responding to emails and attending meetings, I schedule specific times, usually in the late afternoon or early evening when I'm less energized. Breaks. I also scheduled a few quick stops throughout the day. I found that following the Pomodoro technique, working for 25 minutes, and then pausing for 5 minutes helped me stay focused and awake. Buffer time. I included a buffer period between tasks to allow for unanticipated delays or activity transitions. 3. The 2-minute rule in relation to short tasks. David Allen's productivity system, Getting Things Done (GTD). I learned about the 2-minute rule. Rather than putting off a task that will take longer than 2 minutes, do it right away. 4. Smart goal setting to improve focus. I started establishing SMART goals. Specific. I established definite doable objectives, e.g. write 1,000 words for my article instead of just working on an article. Measurable. I monitored my development and established quantifiable goals, e.g. complete a book chapter. Achievable. I made sure my goals were doable or relevant. I coordinated every assignment with my enduring goals, e.g. finishing tasks at work that advance my career. Team bound. To prevent procrastination, I set deadlines or time frames. The Eat That Frog technique began first thing in the morning by taking on the most difficult or unpleasant task per Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog method. It is implied that if you eat the frog, i.e., when you finish the most difficult task first thing in the morning. Employing instruments for management. He also started utilizing several tools, to-do list, task management applications, manage my personal and work-related tasks by using apps like Trello, Todoist, and Asana. Calendar blocking. Gackering. The ability to refuse. The ability to say no was one of the hardest but most important lessons I ever learned. A turning point. At work, it was during an especially busy time. I was juggling several deadlines for a significant project. I felt like I was always running out of time, and every day felt chaotic. I sat down and thought about why things weren't working one evening. At that point, I realized that my improper time management was the real issue. I started by writing down everything I had on my plate and sorting it into categories according to importance and urgency. I started small, focusing on one task at a time. The breakthrough within a week, the results were noticeable. I wasn't working longer hours, but I was achieving more. By focusing on high-priority tasks and eliminating distractions, I became more productive. The most profound shift, though, was in my stress levels. The constant pressure and anxiety I had been feeling began to dissipate. The long-term impact, it became clear that it wasn't just a skill to help me get things done. I began setting boundaries and prioritizing tasks that aligned with my long-term goals. Managing time effectively wasn't about working harder, it was about working smarter, and that shift changed everything for me.